Once a year, go someplace that you've never been before. Travel empowers the learner inside of us, increases our curiosity and our humility. The Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that kids who study abroad were more humble than those who didn't travel. Traveling makes you sharper. Being in the outdoors refreshes your senses in a way that no office air ever could. The latest evidence: in a new study published in the journal Environmental Psychology, researchers found that people who simply looked at a photo of nature for only 40 seconds had improved focus and performance on their next task. Maddox found in his research that traveling the world increases your faith in humanity. The more foreign countries people travel to, the more their sense of generalized trust increases. Seeing all of the good that exists in the world makes it easier to trust that most people, for the most part, are just trying to do the right thing. A recent study from the Academy of Management Journal found that people who worked overseas were more imaginative and inspired than those who stayed in their home country. People who integrate a new culture into their identities are more creative in the long run. Doing as the locals do for an extended period of time opens up your mind, forcing you to think in different ways and bounce around between different ideas. It's a concept scientists called cognitive flexibility. And the more cognitively flexible you are, the more creative you will be. Travel gives you a bird's eye view. Traveling helps us look at our lives from a distance, both physically and metaphorically. And when you do that, you're able to see things a lot more clearly. Traveling makes us happier. A new study from the psychological science found that anticipating an experience before it even happens makes you happier than if you're waiting for something tangible like a new smartphone. Traveling gives you the skill of patience. Dealing with delays, mishaps, and different cultures during travels makes you much more patient and a more understanding person overall. And this is my favorite thought. At first, travel leaves you speechless, and then it turns you into a storyteller. I'm convinced that there's no such thing as an overnight success. I believe it's a fallacy, a myth to believe that overnight in 24 hours that someone can turn into a worldwide phenomenon. Once a lady was in a marketplace and she saw Picasso. And she went up to Picasso and she said, "Picasso, can you draw me a portrait?" He said, "Sure, I'll draw you a portrait." He reached for a pen and paper and he, in 30 seconds, sketched an identical portrait of this lady, and handing it back to her, he said, "That will cost you $30,000. And she replied, she said, "Picasso, how can you charge me $30,000? That took you 30 seconds. He said, "It took me 30 years to be able to do that in 30 seconds. And it's amazing how that time, that unforgotten, that invisible world beyond the bottom of the iceberg, underneath the water, the part you don't see, is actually what made what you see today possible. When you look at the definition of failure in the English dictionary, it's defined by 3 words: lack of success. But that means we don't value learning. It means we don't value growth. It means we don't value experience and struggle. Our obsession with winning means that we're actually letting go of all of that which we could be learning at every single point. Since I was a young boy, I've been enamored with stories of failure, from biographies and autobiographies and books about people who changed the world and books about people who changed other people's worlds. There was a young cartoonist, and all the editors and newspaper journalists said that he lacked natural talent. They rejected him, and after countless rejections, it was actually a church minister who gave him an opening to start drawing little cartoons in the back of the church in this small little shed. And this gentleman, he once saw a mouse running around, and believe it or not, that was the birth of Mickey Mouse. That was Walt Disney, that cartoonist who went on to win 22 Academy Awards. Imagine this lady was told that she wasn't fit for television. She was told that she would never make it online or on TV. Her name's Oprah Winfrey. she became the most influential woman in the world. This has to be my favorite failure story of all time. I mean, his fiancée died, he failed in business, he had a nervous breakdown, and on top of all of that, he failed and lost in 8 elections. He went on to be the 16th president of the United States of America. His name's Abraham Lincoln. I actually believe that failure has the ability to lure success. Countless failures are almost doorkeepers to success, and every time you walk through one door, the gate gets bigger and the lock gets tighter, and it gets that much more difficult because we're being tested for our genuineness and our authenticity and our real desire to chase that goal, a real desire to actually embody the values that are needed to almost take responsibility for that success, to take responsibility for that position and the influence it brings with it. And therefore, if you've never failed, you've never really tried anything new. One day, a university professor holding a bottle of water, he asked his students how much they think this bottle of water weighs. 500 grams, shouted one student. Another from the back shouted 600 grams. The professor looked at them and said, actually, until we weigh the bottle, we wouldn't know. And then he said, imagine I hold this bottle for a few minutes. What do you think will happen? One of the students shouted, nothing. He said, what if I hold it for a bit longer? Let's say I hold this bottle for, let's say, a few hours. And they'd said, well, your arm would start to hurt. And he said, what if I held this bottle for 24 hours? And one of the students said, your arm would practically be paralyzed or in extreme pain. The professor then said, notice that the weight of the bottle didn't change during that time at all. The only thing that changed was how long you were holding it. And his lesson to his students from this situation was that this bottle represents our challenges, our problems, our worries, our anxieties about uncertainty, that the longer that we hold them, the more pain they can do to us. One of the most moving and powerful quotes I've ever heard is from Nelson Mandela, where he said that when I was walking out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew that if I didn't leave behind my bitterness and hatred, I'd still be in prison. We pollute our consciousness when we allow envy and anger to enter the inner cores of our minds, bringing in negativity, injecting anxiety and uncertainty into the way we think. And that's why Mahatma Gandhi said, I'll never let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet. But often we see that it's our own very shoes that are causing the dirt. Forgiveness and letting go and the ability to rise above the challenges that have been caused by others in our life is such an important ability, because we need to learn to accept apologies that we never received. I believe that you can't fix yourself by breaking someone else. It's like what Buddha said, resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. When we recognize that actually by holding any negative feelings towards another individual simply only harms the way we think, that's when we'll truly be able to forgive, move on and let go, and realize that that internal healing is what lets us take care of the external circumstances. And this is not easy at all, because we've all been caused pain, sometimes to extreme lengths. Sometimes our hearts have been broken. Sometimes our trust has been misused. Sometimes we've been exploited. Sometimes our loyalty has been tested. And that's why forgiveness doesn't excuse the behavior, but it prevents the behavior from negatively affecting us. And our ego wants us to put others in their place, but we should try to put ourselves in their place. Every day we recharge our phones, but we forget to recharge ourselves. Let's just say we slept well the night before, which means we start our day with 100% charge. When we wake up in the morning, we roll over and 80% of us check our smartphones before we brush our teeth. We scroll through social media, we browse through emails. That takes away 10% of our energy. Let's say we now have 90% charge left. We then commute to work. We spend our day in the office, in meetings, interacting with colleagues, finishing off projects and assignments. We now have 40% charge left. On the way home, we commute through traffic or on the train, and that takes away another, let's say 10%. We now have 30% charge left. We come home and switch on Netflix, talk to someone about what our day was like, and sometimes we lose another 10%. We now have 20% charge left. At 20% on our phones, usually the charge bar goes red. We get an alert. We get a message that tells us that we only have 20% battery left. The question is, do we notice when our charge is at 20% or 10%? There are always signs from our bodies, our brains, our minds. But are we tuned in? One of the best things we can do to recharge is to exercise. The hardest part of any workout is actually the 15 minutes leading up to it. We come up with 15 reasons why we don't want to sweat, and we change our mind 15 different times. CNN reports that when you work out, your brain creates more serotonin, which sends messages to your nervous system of happiness and well-being. Working out for 30 to 40 minutes every day can recharge our battery by 20%. Meditation is an incredible way to recharge our batteries. Exactly what the gym does for the body, meditation can do for the mind. Meditation gives us downtime, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Meditation also directly impacts your entire nervous system by reducing your body's productions of stress-related chemicals such as cortisol. Meditation is a great way to recharge and can take you back up 20%. We've all heard about incredible morning routines, but the one thing that can make a huge difference to your recharge is your evening routine. 35% of us are not getting the recommended 7 hours of sleep per night. Remember, every body and mind is different. Make sure you find the amount of time you need to get that serious battery recharge. And the 75-year study by Harvard found that beyond anything, the real sense check for happiness and meaning in life was relationships, connections, interactions with depth that are fulfilling and full of joy. Making time for deep, meaningful interactions every day can give the recharge our battery seriously needs. What if we've recharged ourselves as much as we recharge our phones? Because if we don't, we'll end up like one of our phones in the bottom of some drawer in our home. Studies show there are 4 reasons why talented people leave their jobs. 1. Negative work environments. 2. High stress and pressure. 3. Lack of engagement and challenge. 4. Lack of recognition and benefits. And there are 4 reasons why people stay. 1. They feel appreciated and listened to. 2. They receive mentoring and challenges. 3. They have advancement and learning opportunities. 4. There's appropriate compensation and benefits. Today, we get so busy making a living that we forget to make a life. Most of us are killing ourselves for a job that would replace us within a week if we drop dead. There's no way that we were born to just pay bills and die. Most of us are working till the end of the week just so we can live for the weekends. According to a recent study by Mercer, 33% of all employees plan on quitting their current job in the next 12 months. A Harvard Business Review survey reveals 58% of us trust strangers more than our own bosses. We don't trust our own managers because we don't believe they have our best interest at heart. Global studies reveal that 79% of people who quit their jobs cite lack of appreciation as their reason for leaving. We feel less cared for, less invested in, and less appreciated than ever before. Employees gave up nearly 50% of their paid vacation in 2017, and nearly 10% take no vacation days at all. According to a study by Glassdoor, the fear of falling behind is the #1 reason why people don't take their vacation time. A large proportion of people, almost 50%, quit because of burnout and stress. CareerBuilder released a study that revealed 2 out of 5 employees suggest they've gained weight at their current job. And the Conference Board reports 53% of people are unhappy at their current job. So here's my message to employees and to leaders. Dear employees, don't wait for someone to spot your talent. Demonstrate it. Don't wait for someone to manage you. learn to manage your own life and your own time. Don't wait for someone to let you live your passion. Create it and fight for it. Don't wait for someone to appreciate you. Recognize your own value and attract people who feel the same way. Don't burn out for a firm that doesn't invest in you. Don't work overtime for a firm that doesn't value your time. It's your responsibility to make time for self-care, and it's your responsibility to make time to relieve pressure. You can't expect your manager to help you deal with your stress when they don't know how to manage their own. You can't expect your boss to help you live your purpose when they haven't found theirs. And now to the leaders. Dear leaders, if you're still listening, thank you. Most leaders are blinded because 89% of them wrongly believe that most people quit because of not enough money, when the truth is they left because they lacked opportunities. Most people leave because of a lack of value, a lack of recognition of their talents, their skills, their unique abilities to add value, add impact to your company. Most people leave because they feel they have potential that's completely unused. So here's what we need to do. Number 1, schedule a meeting with each employee. Number 2, ask about their happiness. Number 3, ask if their job is meaningful. Number 4, ask them how they think the culture can be improved. Number 5, ask them about their work-life balance and how it can get better. Number 6, ask if they feel valued at work. And number 7, ask them what's going to help them love their role and your company. And number 8, be ready to hear the truth. Be open to hear the truth. If you're ready to hear it, they'll be ready to listen back. Because as Steve Jobs said, we don't hire smart people so that we can tell them what to do. We hire smart people so that they can tell us what to do.
No, but I do. Like, I think that college was 100% my peak. Because I just miss having like nothing really to do once you were done with homework. You could decide what you wanted to do, and you could go to parties, and all you were worried about was like figuring out what classes you were going to do with your friends, and it was so easy and everything was so accessible. But then now it's like I feel like I have to put in such an effort to see you guys. Like, I haven't seen you in forever, and it's just like you have to make that effort, and it's so hard. And I wish that I was back there. I think it was easier than this.
I don't know if I agree with that though, because I would kill to be in your position. Because like right now you get to go to work, clock off, see your friends, whatever, at like 6 p.m. Meanwhile, I'm at med school, sitting in a room all day, trying to understand half of what they teach me. Then I gotta go home and research the other half I didn't understand, all on top of homework. Like sometimes I wish I could like just go back to where I was, you know, like with a job, day in, day out, but with free weekends.
You guys think you don't have weekends, but with this new guy I'm dating, like, I never have time to see any of my friends. He's great and amazing, but I literally have to prioritize everyone and make schedules to fit everyone in. I don't know, I feel like I never see my friends, and I kind of feel like I'm missing out on so many things that my girlfriends are doing.
You don't want to be single, though. I mean, okay, after the divorce with Rachel, I just instantly wanted that back. I wanted to be married again, just to someone, to have anything. Even though I wanted that to happen, I'm here now and just realizing it's really hard to find a connection. It's really, really rare to find a connection that just means something.
How many of us spend our family gatherings, our friend reunions, and our downtime talking about how the past was better and how we miss it so much? It felt safer, it felt happier, and it felt like it was better than we are now. Whether it was the comfort of childhood and zero responsibility, or the freedom we experienced as a teenager with no consequences, we look at the past with rose-tinted glasses, believing that the past is better than the present moment. According to the New York Times, most of us experience nostalgia once a week, and over 50% of us experience it 3 to 4 times a week. We remember temporary feelings as permanent emotions. We forget the hours of sadness and amplify the seconds of goodness. We only remember what our biased mind has chosen to recall. We put an emotional state within an era or a specific frame and believe that that specific time was completely embodied and captivated by that feeling and those emotions. The truth is, through studies and research, psychologists and experts have found that nostalgia has a positive impact on our mental health. But often, nostalgia can lead to more pain than progress. A 2008 study found that nostalgia increases people's perception of support. When we think about the past, we think about who's been there for us. We think about the people that were there for us in the toughest of times, and this leads to better self-confidence and boosts our self-worth. So nostalgia can do two things. It can take us back, pull us back, and make us believe that back was better. Or nostalgia can inspire us to believe that things were great, but they can be better now. That the past is a launch pad for an incredible future. That what we experienced before are the building blocks and foundations of transforming our life. Of course, we can enjoy our past memories like an old movie we loved or an old book. It's that feeling we get when we see a memory pop up on our phones or a picture we haven't seen for a while. The challenge is when we get lost in that past special moment and we realize its futility, we realize how ephemeral it is, and then we feel that we can't recreate it again. But the truth is, we don't need to. We can create new memories. We can create new moments. We can create new experiences that have more and more beautiful moments for us to live. We can appreciate the past, but we must bring our attention to the present. We can be grateful for the past, but we can be even more grateful for the present. And if we don't leave the past in the past, it will affect our future. And the longer we live in the past, the less time and energy we have for today. And remember, you can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one.
So I'm just building this business that I love. Nothing's going right. Everything I try, I just keep tripping over. And I keep thinking to myself, I can't do this anymore, you know? Come on, Jemima, come here. Yeah. Good. Come on, keep crawling. Yes, keep going. Yeah, foot in front. Well done.
It's funny, isn't it?
What was funny?
When a child's learning how to walk and falls down 50 times, it never stops and thinks to itself, this isn't for me. Just now you were helping your young daughter get back up. You were telling her to keep trying. You were telling her that she could do this. But as we grow older, we start building up these barriers in our minds and in our life. We start saying things like, I can't do this. This isn't for me. It's impossible. We start worrying about what people think and what they'll say about us. See, the thing about limitations is that they're only true as long as you believe in them. So instead of believing in your limitations, start believing in yourself. I used to worry about the labels other people put on me until I realized that that wasn't them, it was me. And that's why we need to move away from all these limitations and barriers and start to fail like a child. We need to learn to fail like children. Children fall over, get back up and start walking. You've done that, I've done that, we've all done that. And that's the same in life. We need to learn to fail like a child.